companies nowadays, and what are the DevOps benefit, with respect to career as well as job trends. We'll talk about that. We'll come across DevOps lifecycle. Okay, we will get to know you what is the DevOps lifecycle and DevOps ecosystem and certain DevOps use cases. I will tell you. I will tell you about the projects that we will be doing. Okay, by the in this particular syllabus. Okay, so let's get started with. Okay, so right now, if you take a look, we will start with a problem statement. We will take a look to this particular diagram. If you take a look to this particular diagram, you will see, people are sitting on the same boat, and some people are enjoying, and some people are in too much of tension. Okay, so understand the boat like a company. So in a company, we have different kind of teams. We have basically a development team into picture. So we have development team, right? So development teams are the teams who are responsible for doing coding, right? So development team are responsible for doing coding. They perform coding in various programming language. So if I talk about, you must be aware of various programming language nowadays. So starting with like .NET is one of the major programming language. Then we have Java, we have Python, we have Angular, we have Node.js, okay, we have, and then we have something called as Go, one of the upcoming programming language. So a developer is responsible for doing development, so we have developer responsible for doing development. What he is doing, he is creating kind of application. A developer is responsible for doing coding, for creating any kind of application, right? And he does the coding in any of these programming languages, right? So once a developer develop any kind of application, just for an example, we will take an example of hello.java program. So if I have a developer, he has written this particular piece of code. This piece of code need to be compiled first. Okay, so this piece of the code need to be compiled first. So once you compile the source code, we will call it source code. So once you compile the source code, we will get a class file. So some people must be having certain understanding in the Java, they will able to understand. So we will be getting a class file. So once we will done with the class file creation, we will perform packaging. Okay, so once we will perform packaging, we will be getting artifact. So this is something called as hello.jar. Many of us been through jar, right? हम लोगों ने कभी ना कभी jar सुना होगा. So this is something called as artifact. And this is artifact which will be deployed on some servers. Okay, so now what developer is doing, developer is developing any kind of application in any of this programming language. He is writing the source code, compiling the source code, creating the class file, packaging the class file to get the artifact created. So artifact will be deployed on some servers. So in companies, we will have some, we will have servers like development servers or development environment. We will have pre-production environment, pre-production. आप सबके कंपनी में ये इन्वायरमेंट्स होंगे, राइट? सो डेवलपर क्या करता है, बेसिकली डेवलपर कोड लिखेगा किसी एक प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज में, उसको कंपाइल करेगा, पैकेज करेगा, आर्टिफैक्ट क्रिएट करेगा और आर्टिफैक्ट को डिप्लॉय कर देगा डेवलपमेंट सर्वर्स के ऊपर. जब डेवलपमेंट सर्वर्स के ऊपर कोड चले जाएंगे, देन द सेम कोड विल बी माइग्रेटेड और यू कैन से यस.
Sorry for disturbing in between. Can you please speak in English?
Okay. So as I was explaining, so in our companies, we have various roles. We have developers into picture, we have testers into picture, and we have operations people in picture, right? So mostly these are the job profiles we see. So a developer is responsible for development activity. He is writing code to create any kind of application, right? He will be creating any kind of application. Application can be created in any of these programming languages. It depends upon companies to companies what kind of programming language they opt for. So taking an example of Java, let's suppose I am a developer. I have created a hello.java application. This particular thing is called as source code. So source code is basically, or you can correlate with this raw code. So source code is nothing. It's a similar to raw code. Now, after the source code is done, what you do, you compile the source code to get the class file created, and after that you do the packaging, and then you deploy the code to the development environment. After some point in time, what you do, you move the same code to pre-production environment, and then you move the same code to production environment. Once your code will be deployed to production servers, people across the globe, they will have a look to your application. So right now, if you are accessing any application, just in case Google Pay, Phone Pay, you are using Paytm, all those application has been designed, developed, packaged, and deployed in production. That's what you are accessing. So these are the environments which are meant for internal use. So any application deployed in the development and pre-production environment is for internal use case. Okay, internal use case. So now this is the purpose of developer. Now I will tell you what is the purpose of tester. So a tester is responsible to write the test cases. Okay, a tester is responsible for write the test cases. He will write the test case and he will validate the test case against the coding which has been done by developer. So a tester is responsible. Okay, a tester is responsible for what? Writing the test cases and validating his test cases, against the code written by developers. Okay, now what is the main purpose of operation guys? So operation guys, okay, the operation guys is the one who is responsible for certain activity like deployments, okay, upgrade of the system, provisioning of new system, creating new infrastructure. Provisioning means creating new infrastructure. Like I get a task, okay, I get a task from my project manager to create a Kubernetes cluster. So what I do, I will go ahead and I will create a Kubernetes cluster like that. Okay, so my responsibility is to deploy the application in production. So developer are only responsible for deploying the code in development. Who is responsible for deploying the code in pre-production and production environment? The operation guys. Operation guys are responsible for deploying the code in pre-production and production environment. Operation guys are responsible for upgrading the existing system, existing servers. Okay, they are responsible for upgrading everything like database to network to servers, everything, and provisioning of new infrastructure as well as decommissioning. Decommissioning means if the infrastructure is out of date, you need to remove it and you need to put new infrastructure in place. Okay, so by doing this, by understanding these three pillars, so developer, tester, and operation, so this is something called as dev, QA, and ops. Okay, so this basically combines and call as a DevOps team. So a DevOps team has three kind of people. A DevOps team consists of three people. Okay, a DevOps team consists of three people. They are responsible for end-to-end delivery of the application. So developer is responsible for creating application, tester is responsible for testing the application, and operation people are responsible for deploying the application. So this is what happens in DevOps. But before DevOps, what was the thing? So right now, what I explained is before DevOps. Right now, what happens in DevOps culture? Okay, so it is very, very important for us to understand what kind of practices are being done. What are the DevOps culture? Like in our family, we have family cultures, right? We do certain things in a certain manner. In the same way, DevOps has certain culture, and you need to learn that culture. Okay, so before DevOps, how was the thing? So before DevOps, teams were working in silos. I mean to say, developers have developed the code, and now they have given the code to production people, and production people are deploying this code. So developer team was sitting in Bangalore and production team is sitting in Hyderabad. What is happening? They are not combinedly working with each other. Okay, they are not combinedly working with each other, resulting what happens if the code is broken in the production, or if the code is having any issues, or the application is having any issues, developer guys are saying, okay, we are done with our work, we are not responsible what is happening in production. Okay, this is the story which was happening before DevOps. So before DevOps came into picture, before DevOps, every single team were working in silos. Nobody was taking the responsibility of end to end. Nobody was taking the responsibility and accountability of the product. Developer told, okay, I have done my job. Okay, now I don't care. Okay, tester is saying, okay, I have done the testing. Now operation people who are responsible for maintaining the application, they don't have the knowledge of coding, right? They don't have the knowledge of any programming language. So they basically start crying. They have tough time managing those applications. But when DevOps comes into picture, what DevOps teaches basically to not to work in silos. Everyone, including dev, QA, and ops, all three people will come together. They are responsible for end-to-end, E2E, end-to-end design, development, testing, and deployment. Okay, so these three people are responsible for entire cases. So before DevOps, one more thing, one thing that I highlighted is before DevOps, what was the thing? People or basically team. So team used to work in silos. Teams used to work in silos. After DevOps, what happened? Everyone come together. If there is a production issue, developer is also coming online, QA is also coming online. Everyone is checking and trying to resolve the issue as ASAP, right? So teams used to work in silos before DevOps. Now you can understand what is the difference DevOps is making. Second thing is that before DevOps, everything was manual. I mean to say manual code compilation. People used to do manual code compilation. So before DevOps, everything was manual. So manual code compilation, manual testing, manual code compilation was in process, manual code testing was there, and operation people also used to deploy everything manually. But what happened? Once a DevOps come into picture, everything got automated. Now imagine a situation. Let's suppose I have two developers. I am a team leader, and I am a team leader. Okay, so just team leader. I am a team leader, and I have 4 developers in my team. I have 2 QA in my team, and I have 2 operation people in my team. Imagine a situation. Right now, because of festive season, 3 of my developer is on leave. Okay, if we were doing manual activity, then we need all people in office, right? So because what happened earlier, because of manual changes, if somebody has taken leaves, then what happened? His work, who will do? Because how many times you will compile the code? If I tell you to compile the code 1 time, you will happily do it. If I tell you to compile the code 5 times, you will do it. But if I tell you to compile the code 100 times in a single day, will you able to do? No. So before DevOps, everything was manual. Okay, now what changes DevOps has brought to the industry? DevOps has automated everything. DevOps has automated everything. Okay, DevOps has automated everything. Now developers and QA, they work together. They make sure the code is running smoothly in the production system. Okay, anybody having any doubt, any kind of questions, feel free to ask on this particular point. That makes sense to everyone? Is that scenario well explained?
Yes, Satyam.
Okay, good. So now, so in DevOps, basically, when you will go to the companies, when you will actually work in the companies, so you have to understand about DevOps culture. In DevOps culture, we have a rule called two-pizza rule. So what is two-pizza rule? Two-pizza rule has been created by Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos. So according to two-pizza rule, in a DevOps team, we will have minimum number of people who can eat, basically two pizza. So like, so you need at least 6 to 8 people, 6 to 8 people can consume, or you can distribute two pizza equally in 6 to 8 people, right? So every DevOps team is having a strength of 8 to 10 people only. Okay, in that there will be developers. They are responsible for doing the development activity. Tester will be responsible for testing activities, and there will be operation people who will be responsible for deployment, upgrade, provisioning, all these kind of activity. I get a lot of questions from people, coming to the classes. They always ask, sir, do we need any kind of programming language knowledge? So ideally, you don't need any kind of programming language. It's not your task to develop an application. So your task is responsible. You are responsible. Being a DevOps engineer, a developer is also called as DevOps engineer. Just understand this particular fact. So a developer inside a DevOps team is also called as DevOps engineer. He is also a DevOps engineer, but he is expertise in testing. He is also a DevOps engineer, but he is expertise in operations kind of thing. Okay, so you are not supposed to perform any kind of coding activity inside a DevOps team. Okay, you are not responsible for creating the programming. You are responsible for design. You are responsible for deployment of applications which are being created by developers. You are responsible for upgrading the systems. You are responsible for provisioning new systems. You are responsible for creating CI/CD pipeline, and still you will not alone create the CI/CD pipeline. Entire team will work. So this is the team. This team consists of three people. The team consists of expertise of three different areas. So you will not be doing anything alone. Everyone will give their inputs. Okay, like it is like this. So people will have always misconception. Okay, I am coming from cloud computing background. I am coming from Linux background. I am coming from database background. So do I need to do any kind of coding in Java or .NET, Python? No, you don't need to do that. Okay, so there are separate people who are expert in development activities. They are responsible for doing it. Okay, now, so once we will proceed further, so we will be talking, we'll learn a lot of other things. So what is the benefit of this two pizza rule? So if you have a smaller team, you can cater the accountability to everyone. So if you have a bigger team, imagine a situation, if you were ever be part of any big team, like 40 people or 30 people, what happens? People, what they do, people pass on the work, but in a smaller team, decision making will be faster, implementation will be faster. Being a DevOps engineer, when I used to work as a DevOps engineer, right now I'm working as a technical architect. Okay, so I have DevOps engineer working under me. So so I was sitting next to the developer, I was sitting next to the QA. If any issues I feel, I can go and I can simply ask. I don't need to go even, But before DevOps, development team was sitting in Pune, operations were in Hyderabad, deployment was happening from Chennai, the team were scattered. What DevOps has given to industry is DevOps has given a collaborative approach of working. Every team member responsible for application will be sitting at one place. They will be sitting next to next. Okay. I will be sitting next to my developer. I will be sitting next to my tester. Okay, developer is knowing what I am going to deploy. So developer is knowing what I am going to deploy in production. Tester is knowing what developer is doing the coding. So we have the entire product knowledge. We have entire product knowledge. So being a DevOps engineer, you have to understand the entire product knowledge. You will gain cross-functional learning as well. So one more thing that being a DevOps engineer you will have, that is called as cross-functional learning. So when you will work with developers over 2 years, you will also start understanding a lot of things about development. When you work with tester, you will also start learning how the testing is being done, what are the different type of testing being done. Even developer will learn from you. So it's a cross-functional learning that will help you to gain more insight about the product, as well as your knowledge level will increase like exponentially. So that is the major advantage that DevOps brings into companies. So we have a when you will work with a DevOps team, there are various tools. There are various tools available in the market. If you take a look to this particular diagram, so this is called as the periodic table of DevOps. Okay, this is something called as periodic table of DevOps. You must have seen the periodic table in your chemistry classes in class 11th and 12th. But this is a DevOps periodic table. You don't need to be scared. Okay, you don't need to be scared. In DevOps, we have 100 of tools, but 100 of tools are not being used. There are certain selective tools which are being used in industry, and we are going to provide you expert knowledge on those tools. Okay, so right now, if you take a look to this particular table, you will see certain areas or certain blocks will be colored in one color. Okay, so if I try to understand the yellow color, okay, so all the yellow colors are cloud computing providers. Okay, if you talk about the green color, all these things are for deployment. If you take a look to the what I mean say any other color, you can say, like, if you see in the center 27, 28, so these are the configuration management tools. So what I'm trying to say, for doing one activity, you have several tools available in the market. Okay, you don't need to worry about what are the tools that we are going to expertise on. So we are going to expertise on these many tools. Okay, so all of you, please take a closer look to the tools that we will be covering in our course curriculum. We will be starting with a tool called as source version control. Source version control, we will be learning Git inside that. Then we have something called as source code repository. We will be learning GitHub inside that. Then we have build tool called Maven. We will be learning Maven, which is used to compile source code. Okay. Then we will be learning Jenkins in our syllabus. This is used for continuous integration server. We will be learning containerization, which is basically a Docker tool. Okay, so we will be learning Docker, which is basically a containerization tool. Then we will learn Docker repository, that is called AWS ECR. We will be learning Elastic Container Registry. So this is a service in AWS which is used to store Docker images. Okay. Now we will be learning something called as Sonar Type Nexus. It is called as Artifact Repository. So what are these things? Let me give a small introduction. Right now, just let me wipe it off. Okay. So let me wipe it off. Okay. So imagine that I am a developer. Okay. I am a developer. I have a pretty good system with me. Okay. I have done coding. What I will do, I will not keep the code with myself. What I will do, I will push the code to a place called as source code repository. Source, SOURC, source code repository. So this source code repository is there are multiple type of source code repository available. So we have GitHub, we have Bitbucket, we have like code commit. Okay, so for one purpose we have various tools within DevOps ecosystem. So a developer is writing some piece of code. What he will do, he will push the code here. Okay, because let's suppose he went on leave for tomorrow, or he went on leave for 10 days. So how the code will be, how the team will get the code, right? So what he will do, he will write the code. If there are multiple developers in the team, they do the similar process. They write the code and they don't keep the code in their system. They upload the code. So basically this particular process is called as code check-in. So you will learn a lot of technical words. You will learn a lot of the standard words which you will use in interview. So there are various. There will be in very famous interview question. How you do. What is the code merge strategy your companies follows or your team follows? So we will be learning a very good topic that is called as code merge technology, code merge strategy. So in code merge strategy, what happens generally, this is a big thing, okay, but I will try to give you a glimpse of it. So definitely you will have multiple developers. Multiple developers will be writing the code, but they will not be keeping the code in their system. They will be keeping the code in a central repository. So this is something called as central repository. They will keep the code over here, right? So once the code will be kept here, anybody else can utilize the code in absence of these guys. Right. So we will be learning source code repository that is called as GitHub. In the similar way, we have various tools available and they have their different purpose. Now, when you have artifact created, you remember in the previous diagram, I have created a hello.jar. So jar is called as artifact. So you will be storing all the artifact in this particular location. Then you have something called as code inspection tool. So none of the developers are equally smart. Okay, so every single company, they follow certain standard of coding. Okay, so it's not like that you have written code in your manner, somebody has written the code in his language. So what is the tool? There is a tool called as code. There is a tool called Sonar Cube, and this particular tool perform the code inspection. He will validate the code, and if the code is not meeting the criteria, then the developer has to rewrite the code. Then we have something called as AWS, which does not require any kind of introduction. AWS is the leading cloud computing platform, and we will be using AWS for entire thing in our course curriculum. Then we will be learning Ansible, that is the configuration management tool. This is the tool which is used to deploy a large number of infrastructures. Then we will be learning infrastructure as a code, which is a very, very important thing at this moment. If you take a look to the job descriptions available in the market, if you go and search the job description for DevOps, you will find everything which I have written in here. So you will find, the candidate must know Docker, the candidate must know Kubernetes, the candidate must know Terraform. So we are basically teaching in a way that you are job ready. So once you are done with the entire training session, you are fully ready to go and attend interview. You can start attending the interviews, because the things that you will learn during the classes, you can tell exactly the same. Okay, whatever I will teach you, you can replicate the same in the interview, that you are doing the same from same thing from past 2 years. So by taking this class, by the learning of 60-70 hours that we are going to provide you, you can showcase experience level up to 2 years. Okay, and gradually we will learn more and we will able to deliver more. Okay, so we will help you in understanding the requirement of the companies. So there is something called as, there is a proverb that I will tell you, that is, smells the need of the time. So you need to smell the need of the companies. Okay, what companies are looking for. So companies are straightforward. Companies are pretty good. They are saying, okay, so this is my job description. If anybody is matching this job description, I will hire him. So companies are telling, okay, I need a person who is in Kubernetes. He can have 0 to 2 years experience. I need someone who has a Docker knowledge and he has 2 relevant years of experience in Docker. They need people who knows Jenkins. They need people who know the GitHubs. They need people who knows microservices. Okay, Okay, so these are the job descriptions available, and we will prepare you according to the job descriptions. Okay, so if 10 jobs are coming in the market for DevOps, because on daily basis every day I take interviews, because I work as a technical architect in one of the companies, right? So I take interviews, 2 interviews, 3 interviews daily basis. My task is only to take interview to help the team to to create the architecture. So in my all kind of classes you will see, so whichever class I will take, so I will always focus on architecture diagram. So being an architect, you will be responsible for creating architecture, so you have to provide architecture. So architectures are basically the block diagrams. So being a DevOps engineer, you have to learn how to create architecture, what are the infrastructure blocks, uh, everything you need to learn, so this is a kind of architecture. So in all our classes we try to explain the concept to the candidate with kind of a sketch diagram, so that they can understand the flow, they can understand where the traffic is going in, where the traffic is coming from, so who is communicating to whom. Just for in case, I'm just showing you to get a certain idea, because we all are relatively going to work on the same domain, same profile. Let it load. Okay, so these are the tools that are pretty much used required in the market. Okay, so, and then at last we have certain thing called as orchestration tool, that is Kubernetes. And one more thing that is I missed to add over here, that is microservices. We are going to learn about microservices. Microservices are the de facto standard. Okay, so microservices are the very important term. You just simply type microservices in the Google or type microservices in the naukri.com, you will be able to see what is the demand of microservices. So we will try to understand what microservices are, how to design the microservices. Okay, and for all this class, for taking all these sessions and all, what we need a lot of tools to be installed on your system. So you need a tool like this, so right now it's loading right now. If you see a tool, this tool is called as IntelliJ. So this is the tool which is being used by developers, and this tool is being used by developers. So we will give you the feeling of developers. You will write your own code. Okay, it is very easy unless until you don't try. So we will be writing our own code. We will be compiling our own code. Okay, so if you take a look, this is the, we will take a small program. This is Java application. So right now you see .java, right? So this is, we will take an example of microservices. We will create our own microservice. We will compile it, we'll package it, we'll deploy it on a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, we will do everything end to end. And by doing this everything, you will gain insight. You will get actually what happens within the companies. Okay, now coming to here, so these are the tools that we are going to take in our course curriculum. Okay, now let's proceed further. So what is the reason why DevOps came into market? Okay, there is something called as waterfall. If you might have learned SDLC, software development lifecycle. In software development lifecycle, we have waterfall model. Now we have agile model. We'll explain all those things during the classes. We will understand monolithic application development, time to market, the blame game. So what happens? Developer has done the coding. Developer will blame the operation guys. Ki, hey, you need to check. I have done the coding. My code is correct. Okay, I don't know anything what is happening in production. Now production guy what will say ki, okay, previous version of the code was running fine, but the new version of the code that you have given is not running. Okay, I don't know anything about code. So before DevOps, everyone used to blame because they were the separate team. They used to blame each other. So there are a lot of reasons, guys, why DevOps came into market, and DevOps has basically streamlined a lot of gaps that we had previously. Okay, now what is DevOps basically? So DevOps is a never ending process of continuous improvement. You keep improving your processes. DevOps is a culture which promotes collaboration between development and operations team to deploy the code in production faster in an automated manner. How DevOps work basically? So under a DevOps model, development and operations teams are merged into single team where the engineers work across the entire application lifecycle. So please understand this particular word, which is very, very important, the entire application lifecycle. A lot of people, they don't even know, because I meet student, I meet employees, I meet students, right? So I see a lot of people, they are maintaining the application in production, but they don't know who has created this application, what language this application has been created. They don't know, they don't have any idea about the application, right? So but being a DevOps engineer, you will work with a developer in QA, and you make sure you know the entire application lifecycle from development to testing to the deployment till operations. Okay, so these are the things. And in DevOps there are phases. Okay, you need to learn about phases that we will be explaining well in details in the classes. So continuous integration, continuous testing, continuous deployment, continuous delivery, continuous monitoring, and continuous improvement. So these are the 6 life cycle of DevOps that everybody has to. A developer works in DevOps integration phase, a tester works in continuous testing, and being a operation guys, we have to work in continuous deployment, continuous delivery, and continuous monitoring. Projects managers basically try to always improve the system. That's why we have continuous. So continuous keep deploying, continuous keep delivering, continuous monitoring. So we will be learning all those things in detail during our class. We will get exactly how the things happens in the companies. Okay, the experience. I'm not going to teach you a course. I'm going to teach my experiences that I have learned in the industry over these many years. Okay, so these are the things that we will be taking care, guys. And by the end of the course curriculum, we will have a major kind of project where we will be creating CI/CD pipeline, which is the very, very demanding one. We will be creating a standard CI/CD pipeline. This pipeline, what it does, this pipeline will compile the code, it will test the code, it will deploy the code in the application environment. So this is the standard CI/CD pipeline that we will be telling. And this is the most important thing that you will be telling in interviews, being a DevOps engineer, what your roles and responsibility are. Okay, so these are the things that we will be doing. And a few of the things that I'd like to highlight over here is, so you are well aware of the tools that we are going to take care. You are well aware of the DevOps lifecycle phases, because for understanding DevOps culture, it is very, very important to understand all these, terms that is written over here. Okay, so these things are there. Okay, and coming basically what DevOps team is, if you find a standard definition of DevOps, so what DevOps does is, so DevOps combines the developer, operations, and testing teams into one single team, and they are responsible for delivering the application into production ASAP. Okay, before DevOps, everything was manual code compile, manual testing, manual deployment, which was time-taking activity. Now we are not doing anything. Everything is automated. You can see this continuous cycle. This continuous cycle is keep on running. So the application is done, coding is done in Java, build of the application is done using Maven and Jenkins, testing is done using Selenium and JMeter. Then you are releasing the application, you are deploying the application, you are operating it, you are monitoring it, and then again this cycle keeps on, goes on. Okay, so that is the thing from my side, guys. Okay, and now we are open for the questions. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yes. So anybody having any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, hi Satyam.
Yes, please.
So what will be our action plan regarding the practice sessions?
So, okay, so we will be covering, how we will be going is we will be covering the first topic. Just for example, once we will cover Git. Git is the first topic. First, we will go through the theory session. Okay, then we will implement it practically. So we will do the practical of this, and then we will go with the interview questions. Okay, like this we will be going, and I will be explaining the industry use cases as well. Industry use cases. Now, second topic, so Git is what is called as source version control. So basically source version control. So in companies they will ask you, okay, what is the source version control you have used? So you will tell the source version control that I have used is Git. What is Git used for? Okay, that you will learn here. How the Git will be used, so that you will learn in practicals. Okay, and then we will have very important interview questions. Okay, so I will tell you about the important interview questions, that these are the interview questions. Just for example, so there is a very important interview question, the difference between get fetch versus get pull. So this is one of the very important questions, get fetch versus get pull. If you do a Google search, you will get to know about this question as well. So like this we will do, and then we will do a industry use case. After that, we will learn for another topic that is called as GitHub. Okay. After that, we will go for Maven. And once we will keep learning this topic, then we combined all these services. We will combine all these services to create a CI/CD pipeline. Because for creating the CI/CD pipeline, we need everything. We need knowledge of Git, we need knowledge of GitHub, we need knowledge of Maven, we need knowledge of Jenkins, Docker, okay, Docker repository, microservices. So we have to know about all these things. We have to do it practically. We have to understand all those things, and then we will combine everything to get the CI/CD pipeline up and running. Okay, and we will be doing everything on the cloud computing platform.
Okay.
Yes. Because if you go to any company will be using cloud computing, right? So right now cloud computing is a kind of prerequisite. So if you go to any company, just an example I'm taking, if you go to Accenture is also using AWS cloud computing. So basically cloud is going to be your infrastructure, and DevOps is the SDLC, software development lifecycle practice.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody having any more questions? We will microservices, Ansible. We have wide variety of topics, and all the topics are equally important. So okay, equally important. And one more thing is that in DevOps, we don't have one certification. So if you are interested in certification, let's suppose while doing the course you came across you came close to Kubernetes. If you wanted to do the certification in Kubernetes, I can help you with that. Okay, so Kubernetes certifications are available in the market. So in DevOps we don't have one certifications. Okay, in DevOps we don't have one certifications. So if you want to get certified on Kubernetes, you have to prepare separately for that. Okay, we can assist you in that. And Kubernetes has one of the de facto standard in the market. So Kubernetes has basically, if you go, let me give you 1 minute. Okay, so yep. See, so this is one of the most important certification at this moment. Right now I'm talking about, if you go to the industry, if you search everywhere, go and ask any one of in industry leaders. Okay, so this is the certification which is highly recommended, certified Kubernetes administrator. Okay, in the similar way, you can, in Kubernetes you don't have one certification, in DevOps you don't have one certification. You can opt for Kubernetes certification, you can opt for Terraform certification. Okay, you can opt for Terraform certification as well. There are Jenkins certifications available, Docker certifications are available. So you don't need to do everything. Okay, let's suppose if I tell you about myself, okay, I am very much interested in Terraform and Kubernetes. Okay, so I will do only this particular certification, but I will develop a expert knowledge on this, and these are okay, that these are the okay knowledge with me. But I want to pursue one particular tool. You have to expertise on any of the one tools, and mostly the people choose Terraform, Kubernetes, Jenkins, Docker, Ansible. These are the tools that people choose in. Okay. Yeah. Any more questions from anyone?
Am I audible, Satyam?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I seen in that PDF, the content PDF. So it looks like they mentioned we will covering the all the cloud like AWS, Azure, GCP, some Linux, including some networking. So all this also part of the training or not?
Where?
Uh, One of the support person from the Radical Technology provided me the one content of the PDF that
Mm-hmm.
what are the topics we are covering in this jobs training. So it's
Mm-hmm.
mentioned in the training that complete like in Azure, if someone don't have any cloud knowledge, so they
Mm-hmm.
said they will also cover those also. So it's mentioned all the clouds were there.
So basically we'll follow, because there are 20 plus cloud in the market. Okay, so there are 20 plus cloud provider in the market. The one is AWS, then we have Azure, then we have Google Cloud, then we have IBM Cloud, we have Alibaba, right? So we will be choosing one particular platform. Okay, we will be using AWS platform, and we will be teaching whatever is required to learn DevOps with the help of this.
Okay.
So because there are 20 plus cloud providers, right? You must be aware of. So Azure is there, GCP is there, IBM is there, Alibaba Cloud is there, OpenStack hai, so Cloud Foundry, Pivotal Cloud Foundry. So there are 20 plus public cloud computing providers are there.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I got a PDF from Radical Technology. The
Okay.
contents are available, so that's why.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
don't worry on that particular part.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there are means like we will be taking care of the prerequisite part as well. Okay, we will be taking care of prerequisite. We require some sort of knowledge. We will check with the people. So we require some sort of basic knowledge. Okay, that we will be doing. We will be starting our class with Linux first. We will be spending 2 days in Linux. Okay, we'll be teaching you these many topics in the Linux. We will be starting our class with Linux, and we will be going through Linux OS clarification, RHEL. These are the areas that we will be jumping on in Linux section. Okay, then we will be going through basic of AWS. We will be telling you, if anyone don't have the knowledge on that, then we will get to know in the class. Okay, and according to that audience we will decide and will proceed.
Got it. Got it. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yes. So I have the documents, means like I will explain everything, so I will explain everything just in case, if you want to have a look right now, we have 6 minutes left, so like, I will just tell you something important, if you you are not knowing. So when you talk about, operating system, we divide the operating system into server and client. And in server, we have three type of operating system. So Linux server operating system, Unix server operating system, and Windows server operating system. In Linux, we have RHEL, that is called as Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And Unix, we have three different kind of operating system, which less people are aware of it, like IBM AIX. So IBM has developed their own operating system that is called IBM AIX, and currently it is running version 6.6. Then we have HP. HP UX is a Unix operating system. Okay, then we will start with then there is a operating system called Solaris, right? So these many operating systems are available, and in Windows we have Windows Server 2016. When it comes to client operating system, the operating system which are used by normal people, like you and me, we use Windows, right? So basically Windows is a client operating system, not a server kind of operating system. Server operating systems are are very powerful. They are running the world biggest application. Just for example, Bombay Stock Exchange, New York Stock Exchange runs on Linux. So every nowadays every single devices are running on Linux. Even your washing machine to your Android phone, everything runs on Linux, guys. Okay, so we will have a good session. We will be covering Linux. We will be explaining whatever is required in the terms of AWS, and then we will be jumping into DevOps. We will be explaining all those tools, technologies, culture. We have a chat board. We have a chat board. Okay, so if you take a look to this particular board, this is what is basically a kind of tracking your progress. So if you are tracking the progress, that how you are learning, you can note it down once going in the class. Okay, and you can tick mark, okay, so am I aware of all these areas? Because it is very, very important for a DevOps engineer to understand all those things, and to check that okay, I am aware about container and orchestration. I am aware of logging and monitoring solutions. I am aware of DevSecOps practices. I am aware what DevOps and SRE is. Okay, so like this it is. So that's it, guys. Okay, I hope I have answered all your questions. Okay. Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
If there is a recorded class after the sessions,
Yes, you will be getting the recording sessions. Okay, and so you have to check with the radical means, like so you have to speak with them, and then we will provide you the recordings.
okay, thank you. Your session was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
So
Hi, Satyam.
you will be getting all the recordings, all class recordings. You will be getting the documents that we have, but I highly insist everyone to create their notes, buy a new copy, and please create a note, because once you have an interview, you can easily read 100 pages of your copy, but you cannot open all the documents and PDF and slides, and cannot read before your interview, right? Hope you
Yeah.
are trying to yeah, so you can go and quick revise. Okay, what are the things are there? Yes, please.
Hi, sir.
Huh.
Sir, what will be the course charge?
So okay, so you can speak about this from counselor. Okay, counselors, somebody who have you are in touch with someone in Radical, right? So
Yes, sir.
okay, so some ma'am will help you, maybe Jaya madam, or maybe some Moini madam, or maybe Sneha. They will help you with all these processes, about the registration process, all those things.
Okay, sir.
One more thing, Satyam. Are we going to conduct all these session in a physical manner, or in the live basis?
So, Miss, the best advantage is, Miss, what I want to say here is that, in physical classes, we don't have recording available, and what happens after, Miss, like, it's good to have the recording, because you can utilize it any point in time. So at this moment, we will be doing, means like, online for this month, and after the next month it will be online, but I will be conducting it from the Radical premises. If you are interested, you can come there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a hybrid, it will be a hybrid kind of approach, right? How the world is going, we have to change accordingly. Yes.
Okay. Okay. No issue.
Okay, Satyam, actually, what about project?
Yes, so project, we will be doing the project. We will give you the project will be CI/CD pipeline. Okay, the entire learning, so whatever we will learn in 2022-23 classes, everything will be crunched into one particular project. Okay, so that thing will be the CI/CD pipeline. I will be giving a synopsis to you. Okay, what are the stages in the pipeline? How to create that kind of pipeline. You have to merge 10 tools to get the pipeline up and running. So it is going to the final output of your learning.
Got it. Got it. Can we get any certificate from Radical after completion of class?
Yes. So as the manager told, right? So we had a manager, right? Training manager we had, right? In the beginning of the class. Maybe you joined late or something like that. So you will be getting everyone will be getting a 6 months internship certificate, okay, mentioning the project detail that we will be doing, the CI/CD pipeline, we have a heading for that. So microservice design, development, and deployment of microservices on Kubernetes infrastructure. So we will be Radical will be providing 6 months internship later to every attendant. If you require, you can opt for. Okay, if you does not require, you even if you need, you can opt for. But it is like individual basis. It's a voluntary basis. Whoever is required, he can ask for. Second is like yes, you will get a formal certificate. Okay, but what I insist is basically to think of global certifications.
Sounds good, Satyam. My another question is actually I have experience in IT more than 3 years as a QA.
Okay.
So what's your suggestion? So is it good to go with DevOps?
Okay, so
Sorry?
a lot of people, yes. So what I will suggest ki it's an early age for you because in QA framework, in QA domain, you are in manual testing or automation testing or performance?
Automation. Automation.
So you are doing what? You are using Selenium or JMeter?
Selenium.
Selenium. Okay, so functional testing you are in.
Yeah.
So what happens, like, what I see is like, because a lot of my friends basically they ended after 6 years, 7 years, they keep working on Selenium, and maybe in performance they get tired of, and they are thinking after 8 or 9 years of experience. So it will be tough, to make a shift after 9 years or 8 years, because after Selenium, JMeter, HP Load Runner, mobile testing, Appium, you don't have anything else left, right? In testing domain. So it's good to basically start thinking of new approach. Okay, like for us, basically, just to tell you, okay, because the world is changing very fast, so the world is changing fast. So we are basically if I take my example, we are focusing on ML ops, like machine learning operations, AI ops, artificial intelligence operations. So what will be the career after DevOps? So once you are done with the DevOps, get a job inside DevOps, learn the DevOps, but after 2 years or 3 years, still you need to upgrade, right? Agree, right?
Correct.
So after 2 years, 3 years, what will be the future? So the futures will be like, you can think of ML ops, machine learning operations. So the people who are into DevOps, they can only make into machine learning operations. So these are the future. What I'm telling you is after 3 years. So at this moment, you can learn DevOps, get the job, learn from the industry best practices, so that you can learn ML ops, okay, in future. So the future is going to be ML ops, AI ops, IoT ops, Internet of Things operations, okay, machine learning operation. Then there is something called as Web3. So these are the things which are the upcoming things, okay. So we have to make sure that we should know enough so that we are ready for future as well. Blockchain, all those things, okay. So these things are not yet there, but these things are going to be coming in future.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you for confirmation.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Will classes be in weekdays?
Haji. So we will be conducting the classes on Saturday, Sunday. So we will be conducting the classes on Saturday, Sunday. The timing is 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m.
And so one more question. I just recently passed out from mechanical engineering. So
Okay.
should I do this course?
Okay, so you done with mechanical engineering. Okay, I need to speak to you more. Because you have to believe in yourself, and one thing that you need to remember, that TCS is also hiring mechanical and civil engineers, and they are also making them IT engineers. Am I telling wrong?
No, sir.
Okay, I hope you got your answer. So only thing that you need to know is you need to learn the need of the time. So please understand the proverb smells the need of the time. Upgrade yourself up to a level where you can justify yourself.
Sure, sir.
Sorry, I don't know your name. Sorry, I don't know any one of your name. Okay, but after 2 classes, we will get to know everyone with their names.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, anybody having any more questions? Anybody having any more questions?
No, sir. When the classes will be running?
So classes will start from the next Saturday, Sunday, 10 a.m. to 12:30.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So just in case, just take a note on the screenshot. What is written on the screenshot? I want you guys, whoever, I want all of you basically to do some Google search on these particular keywords, which is written on the screen. I want everyone to utilize their time. Don't waste, start utilizing. If you're coming to this particular session, please have a takeaway. Okay. So I want you to please do some research on Agile, Scrum, microservices, cloud native based application, container orchestration, configuration management. Please do certain research on all these sections. Okay, then thank you for this. Thanks for being a wonderful audience. Thank you. Anybody from Radical can wrap up the session.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, guys, related to batch and the timings, again, I'll update you in the weekdays time. Okay. So, we'll discuss one-to-one with everyone regarding the fees and the duration. Also, so the next session we have on Saturday, right? Or
Yes.
on Sunday?
We can decide based on the people's, right, their
Okay.
informations. Yes.
Fine, sir. Okay, fine. So we'll wrap up here, guys. Okay. If you guys are interested, then let us know in 1 or 2 days. Okay. So we'll start. Fine.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Satyam.
We'll wrap
Thank
up
you.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Satyam sir.
Thank you.